Welcome everyone. In today's lecture, we will discuss the last topic which comes under the chapter Mineral Nutrition, that is nitrogen metabolism, where we are going to discuss about nitrogen cycle, right? So 12.6, this is the last topic of the chapter. What is that? It is nitrogen metabolism. Nitrogen metabolism. So we need to understand what is nitrogen metabolism. What is metabolism? It's a sum total of all chemical reactions. It's called metabolism. It includes breaking also. It includes making also. Breakdown pathway is catabolic pathway. Making pathway is anabolic pathway. Catabolic plus anabolic will make metabolic pathway. Everything related to breakdown of nitrogen, everything related to making of nitrogen together is called nitrogen metabolism. That's it. So nitrogen metabolism is the process of absorption. Plants will absorb nitrogen from the soil. Then they will utilize it. Then they will store it, which is called assimilation, right? Of nitrogen is coming under nitrogen metabolism. Let us write down. Nitrogen metabolism means the process of absorption. After they absorb, what do? They utilize. Utilization. After utilization, what they do? Assimilation. The process of absorption, utilization and assimilation of nitrogen. In which form do they use it? In organic form, right? In its organic form is called nitrogen metabolism. In its organic form is called, what is it called? Nitrogen metabolism, right children? Now we were telling that metabolism means all the chemical reactions are called metabolic reactions. Now all the chemical reactions related to absorption of nitrogen, using the nitrogen, storing the nitrogen by the plant in organic form is called nitrogen metabolism, right? Now what are the major elements which are required by the plant, which are present in the plant in more concentrations? First comes is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. After carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, what is the fourth element which is required by the plant in more concentration? Nitrogen, correct? After CHO, nitrogen is the more prevalent element in living organisms also, plant also. Let's write the second point. This is our first point. Second point, apart from carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, nitrogen is most prevalent element in living organisms, right? Nitrogen is the most prevalent element in living organisms. After CHO, nitrogen is required by the plant in more quantity. Why does living organism requires nitrogen in more quantity? Because our body or plant body is made up of proteins. Proteins are made up of amino acids. Amino acid has ammonia. Ammonia has nitrogen. So we can tell nitrogen is a constituent of what? Let us write down. Nitrogen is constituent. Where is it constant? It is constant of, just now I told, amino acids. Nitrogen will make amino acids. Amino acids will make proteins. Nitrogen is present in nucleic acids also, nitrogen bases, right? So nitrogen is constituent of nucleic acids. And in the previous lectures we draw the structure of chlorophyll, porphyrin ring. There also 4 nitrogens will draw. So nitrogen is constituent of plant chlorophyll. And nitrogen will make the plant hormones, auxin, indole 3 acidic acid. Nitrogen is there. So nitrogen is constituent of plant growth regulators. Plant growth regulators means they are phytohormones. Nitrogen is constant of amino acids. Amino acids will make protein. Nitrogen is constant of nucleic acids. Nitrogen will make chlorophyll. Nitrogen will make hormones. Nitrogens, even they will make vitamins. In vitamins also, nitrogens are there in some vitamins. If any element is participating in so many things, then obviously its requirement by living organism will be more only. It will be more only. Let it be a plant, let it be an animal. Since we are talking plant physiology, we will constrain only to the plant metabolism, role of nitrogen in plant. Now, in the previous lecture, we discussed like plant obtains minerals from the soil. Now let us ask the soil how much nitrogen does it has. Now soil is not answering anything. Why? Soil is a very poor source of nitrogen. How much percent? Soil has 0.1 to 1% nitrogen only. Then how? That 0.1 to 1% nitrogen is not sufficient for plant at all. Plant needs too much amount of nitrogen. Then here there are different roles. Atmospheric nitrogen getting converted to soil nitrogen, that we are going to study. So when we see soil supplies minerals, soil will supply minerals to, we'll write little down. Soil supplies minerals to plant, but soil is a poor source of nitrogen. How much nitrogen is present in the soil? It is 0.1 to 1%. That is why it's a poor source of nitrogen. Soil is a poor source of nitrogen and plant wants this nitrogen, and we told soil-borne microorganisms are there. Microorganisms want that nitrogen, plant wants the nitrogen. So they are competing with each other for the limited nitrogen present in the soil. Okay, plant needs nitrogen. Why? It has to make these many things. Amma, why microorganism? Why insect need nitrogen? The cell wall is made up of nitrogen, right? Insect wall is made up of chitin. Chitin needs nitrogen. So plants compete with microorganisms for the limited nitrogen. Let me write on that point. Plants compete. With whom are they competing? With microbes for this limiting nitrogen. Nitrogen is very less in the soil. Plant is telling I want the nitrogen. Microorganism is telling I want the nitrogen. So that is why nitrogen becomes a limited nutrient. Nitrogen becomes a limiting nutrient, whether it is a natural ecosystem or it is an agricultural ecosystem. That is why the farmer will buy urea and add nitrogen to the soil. So thus we can conclude that nitrogen is a limiting nutrient in the soil. So thus we can conclude nitrogen is a limiting nutrient. Nitrogen is a limiting nutrient in natural ecosystem also and agricultural ecosystem also. In natural ecosystem also it is a limiting nutrient. In agricultural ecosystem also it is a limiting nutrient. So let us see what did we discuss on the board first. Now we started nitrogen metabolism. What is metabolism? All the chemical reactions are called metabolic reactions. Now nitrogen metabolism, now the process of absorption of nitrogen, utilization of nitrogen, assimilation, storage of nitrogen in organic form is called nitrogen metabolism. Now nitrogen, is it a macronutrient or micronutrient? It is a macronutrient. How much concentration it is required? After CHO it seems nitrogen is the most prevalent element in the living organisms. Why does living organisms require that much nitrogen? Because it's a constant of amino acid, protein, nucleic acid, chlorophyll. It makes plant hormones also. It is present in plant vitamins also. So from where will plant take that nitrogen? From the soil. How much nitrogen is present in the soil? Soil has only 0.1 to 1% nitrogen. That means soil is a poor reservoir of nitrogen. And in that same soil, microorganisms are also there. They also want that nitrogen. Plant and soil are competing for the limited nitrogen. So that is why we are concluding, we are telling that nitrogen is a limiting nutrient for an agricultural ecosystem also, natural ecosystem also. Take a screenshot, we will continue. Right, children? Now we talked about soil. Let us see in atmosphere how much nitrogen is there then. Did you check? It seems atmosphere contains 78% nitrogen by volume. Such a huge amount of nitrogen. We think that atmosphere gas contains oxygen more, but 78% is nitrogen. So let us write down. Atmosphere contains how much? Very huge amount, 78% of nitrogen by volume. Volume means gas. Volume in gaseous form. In gaseous form. In atmosphere, it is present as N2. N is linked to N by strong covalent bond. NCERT says that it is a nitrogen gas which is an inert gas. It is an inert gas. The nitrogen atoms are linked by triple covalent bond. They are linked by strong triple covalent bond. Because of the presence of this triple covalent bond, nitrogen becomes inert. Since the nitrogen gas is inert, plant cannot take that nitrogen gas. See, plant is taking carbon dioxide gas, right, for doing photosynthesis. Then you should think, if plant is taking carbon dioxide in the gaseous form, why can't it take nitrogen gas also? Because atmosphere contains nitrogen gas. The answer here is nitrogen is an inert gas. So plant cannot use that nitrogen. It's not a usable form. So then we are depending on certain processes so that this inert gas gets converted to some usable forms so that the plant can use it. Okay. So then let us talk about certain processes which will convert N2 to ammonia. Okay. So through certain processes, atmospheric nitrogen is converted to ammonia. With the help of certain processes, atmospheric N2 is converted to ammonia and ammonia is used by the plant. And this process of conversion of N2 to ammonia, the process of conversion of N2 to ammonia, what is it called? Nitrogen fixation. The process of conversion of inert nitrogen gas into ammonia is called nitrogen fixation. Now, if the biological organisms like microorganisms are involved in conversion of this nitrogen to ammonia, then that's called biological nitrogen fixation. Now, if it is an industrial process where we will take nitrogen gas, we'll take hydrogen gas cylinder, this is one cylinder, this is one cylinder, at very high temperature, very high pressure, when you fuse it, then we get ammonia, that is industrial nitrogen fixation. By UV lights and thunderstorms and all, using that electrical energy, nitrogen gets converted to ammonia. That is called electrical nitrogen fixation. Whatever it is, nitrogen is getting converted to ammonia. This nitrogen is not available for plants, whereas this ammonia is usable form for plants, right? And how many types of nitrogen fixations are there? I told, if microbes are involved in nitrogen fixation, then we call it as biological nitrogen fixation. We will see this step in detail. Then next one, if it is an industrial process, right, then that is called industrial nitrogen fixation. It's a chemical process, right? This is biological process, this is chemical process. And the third one is electrical nitrogen fixation, where thunderstorms, UV lightning and all will happen. So what did we discuss in this board? There are only 2 points. We are telling that soil contains 0.1 to 1% nitrogen, atmosphere contains 78% nitrogen. In which form? In gaseous form. What is that gas? N2 gas. How are the two nitrogens joined? By triple covalent bond, which is a strong bond, which makes the nitrogen gas inert gas, so that the plant cannot use it. So then we are trying for some alternatives where we can convert N2 to ammonia. Then that step or conversion of nitrogen gas into ammonia is called nitrogen fixation. Take a screenshot. We'll talk about nitrogen cycle then. Right, so we'll see nitrogen cycle now. Through that nitrogen cycle, we will try to understand the complete process. Right, now come on children. Atmospheric nitrogen. How is it? In this form. Amma, how much percentage is there? 78% is there. And just now we discussed that microorganisms will do nitrogen fixation, industries will make urea, industrial nitrogen fixation, thunders, lightning, storms, UV rays will do nitrogen fixation, electrical nitrogen fixation, and they give it to the soil. Now, when we have to see the soil nitrogen pool, now there are 3 forms. The first form is ammonia. And then the ammonia gets converted to nitrite. The nitrite gets converted to nitrate. So these 3 forms are available in the soil. Now first let us talk how does this N2 gets converted to ammonia. 3 methods we discussed, right? Amma, what is the first method? It is called biological nitrogen fixation. Biological nitrogen fixation, like a bacteria called rhizobium. Right, what will this rhizobium do? It will convert N2 to ammonia. This is called biological nitrogen fixation. There's another thing, Haber-Bosch process, industrial nitrogen fixation. Let us write down here. Industrial nitrogen fixation. In industrial nitrogen fixation, they make urea. That urea will break to ammonia. So that's why that arrow is also towards this only, ammonia only. And this arrow is also towards ammonia only. There's another process we talked, electrical nitrogen fixation, UV light, thunderstorms. Let us write on that. Electrical nitrogen fixation. In electrical nitrogen fixation, ammonia is formed. In electrical nitrogen fixation, ammonia is formed. So, by biological nitrogen fixation, atmospheric N2 to ammonia. Industrial nitrogen fixation also, this gets converted to ammonia. Electrical nitrogen fixation, now ammonia, N2 gets converted to nitrate. Okay. Now, we discussed in the starting of the chapter, plant can absorb nitrogen in the form of ammonium ion, nitrate and nitrite, but mainly it absorbs nitrate we discussed. So from this nitrate uptake, who will take it? Plant will take it and it will build its biomass. So plant biomass, right children? So plant will make its biomass. Since plant, I'm using green color. Plant will make biomass. Plant will be eaten by animal and animal will grow now, right? So then animal will increase now. Animal will eat the plant and it will increase its biomass. Right? Now, when the animal dies, or when the plant dies, when the plant dies or animal dies, then what happens? It becomes decaying biomass, right? It becomes decaying biomass, right? Plant is eaten by animal, animal biomass will increase. When plant dies, it becomes decaying biomass in the soil. When animal dies, then also it becomes decaying biomass. Now, decomposing bacteria like bacillus and all, fungi and all will come and degrade these proteins and they convert them into ammonia. That process is called ammonification. Now, here we can tell ammonification will happen. And it converts the decaying complex organic matter into ammonia. Now see children, we started from atmosphere. We converted that atmospheric 78% of nitrogenous gas into soil usable forms like ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. So ammonia to nitrite, nitrite to nitrate, these steps is called nitrification. What are these steps called? These steps are called nitrification, right? So we have seen how to convert atmospheric nitrogen to soil. Now in the soil, plants will be there. Plants can take ammonia also, they can take nitrite also, they can take nitrate also, but mainly they absorb nitrate. So plant has taken it. This is absorption. Plant has absorbed it and built its biomass. The plant will be eaten by herbivorous animals and animal biomass will increase. When plant dies, it comes to the soil, it gets decomposed, decayed. When animal dies, it will also get decomposed and decayed. And now this decaying biomass is acted by decomposers and ammonia will be formed from complex materials and ammonia comes back to the soil. This step is called ammonification. This step is called ammonification. Like that, if you are seeing all that atmospheric nitrogen is coming to the soil, from the soil plant is taking and plant is again dying, giving it to the animal, is dying, again it is in the soil. So from this atmosphere, every arrow is down. This arrow is down, this arrow is down, this arrow is down, this arrow is down, right? Everything is coming back to the soil. At one point of time, atmospheric nitrogen will become less because all that nitrogen is coming down. So in order to maintain it in a nitrogenous cycle, there should be one arrow up also from the soil to the atmosphere in order to maintain that balance, in order to maintain that biogeo cycle. Now that step where every form of nitrogen, let it be ammonia or nitrite or nitrate, gets converted to atmospheric N2. What is that called? That's called denitrification. So this arrow, children, this arrow, right? What is this called? This is called denitrification. This step is called denitrification, right? In denitrification, NO3 gets converted to N2. It gets converted to N2. Now, the bacteria which helps in biological nitrogen fixation is rhizobium. Industrial process also we will see in the next class. Electrical nitrogen fixation, I told UV rays, thunderstorms and all. Denitrifying bacteria, what are that bacteria which have an ability to pick the nitrogen from the soil, give it to the atmosphere? They are called Pseudomonas denitrificans. Pseudomonas denitrificans and Thiobacillus denitrificans. Pseudomonas denitrificants, thiobacillus denitrificants, they pick the nitrogen from the soil, give it to the atmosphere. So this is a microbial mediated process, and denitrification, this is nitrification, this is denitrification, and these bacteria which converts ammonia to nitrite, nitrite to nitrate, they are called nitrifying bacteria. They are nitrosomonas, nitrococcus, like that. Nitrifying bacteria are nitrosomonas, nitrococcus, nitrobacter. Now conversion of this is done by these three bacteria. Conversion of this to atmospheric nitrogen is done by these two bacteria. N2 to ammonia is done by very good bacteria, Rhizobium. There's so many, we just listed one. Then ammonification is done by Bacillus. Ammonification is done by Bacillus. So children, all this comes under nitrogen cycle, where we are representing the nitrogen in the three main nitrogen pools. We have represented nitrogen in three main nitrogen pools. What are the three main pools? The first pool is the atmosphere. The second pool is the soil. And the third pool is the biomass. It is plant biomass, it is animal biomass. So this cycle is exact cycle which is there in NCERT, which represents the nitrogen in the three main pools. One pool is atmosphere, second pool is soil, third pool is the biomass. We discussed all the steps. First step is nitrogen fixation. Second step is nitrification. Third step is ammonification, denitrification, nitrogen assimilation. All the steps are there in this cycle only. We will see one by one in detail in the coming classes. Any doubts? Post them in the comment box. If you like the content, share it with your friends, and like, share, subscribe to my channel. Thank you.